I don't want you to think that I think what I remembered was necessarily absolutely right. I have a reasonably good memory. It was better.
Well,
always better until recently.
Well, they say truth is what we think truth is. You know.
That's right. And actually, I used to wonder why people, when they got a little older, got a little hazy in their memory. But I'm not consciously too hazy, but there are some things that are not quite as clear.
Well, you sound like you have an excellent memory. Okay.
No, I don't. I made a couple of notes here while I was waiting for you. I just came in 15, 20 minutes before you did.
Okay.
Well, we're wrong. I think maybe the thing that I could tell you that might be of interest. It was early one summer morning, and I don't remember the exact time, but I believe it was in July. But, we were all. My father was. I think it was around perhaps 7:30, or 8 o'clock maybe, and someone came banging on the front door of the house and ringing bells and things. And the door was answered immediately, and it was a friend of the family's. Incidentally, I would call his name because I'm almost positive who it was, but he was a pretty prominent fellow, and maybe I'd better not call it unless he's been dead, but children living. But anyway, this friend of the family's came in and wanted to get help immediately. He was hollering for help, come down quick and bring everything you can. So we got, in those days, my father didn't drink very much, but he had a lot of Jack Daniel's whiskey because that was considered our local sort of a deal. And so he gave me a couple of bottles, and he grabbed a couple of bottles. This is what was suggested by the adults. And he said, now give these to anyone that's injured that seems to want it. He said it can't do any harm really, and it might help them a lot in pain and discomfort. So he and I rushed over, and when I saw the horrible, nightmarish situation, I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen anything like it. I might add that at that time, I was 11 to be 12 that September. So I was pretty close to 12, but that's not an old age to take a kid to see a tragedy like this, one of the worst disasters in American history in railroads. I'm not sure how many people were killed, but your records would indicate that. I would say 85 or 95, maybe.
Let's see, 120.
It could be that. I didn't realize, but I know it was ungodly. The carnage, the whole thing was simply unbelievable. Well, we got there, and I began to go to these people that were injured because at this point there was almost no one there. You got to remember, traffic was not traffic like you know it. We came in from, say, 3 minutes in a car in those days, and there were cars in here and there and everywhere, but we weren't burdened with the traffic we know now at this hour. So we didn't, there was no crowd there, I won't say, that I recall worth talking about, except the people that were involved in the tragedy, and I'm sure others like ourselves in there. Well, it was down in that ravine at White Bridge there, and I've forgotten the detail of it, but we got down there to it, and we went to these people and gave them everything we could to help them, and I never saw such a thing in my life. They were moaning and groaning, and some were, I don't remember anything too gory, but I'll tell you what I do remember that was related to that side of the picture. While I was there several times, it took up tubs, big wash tub-like things full of legs and arms. That's the truth. And they took parts of the human anatomy out of it, and just took these tubs up. And they tell me later on, I was told, that they had a hell of a time assembling them. They didn't know who they belonged to, don't see.
I can imagine.
And no, it was simply ghastly. And they had this thing, but I remember several instances related to it particularly. And one was one car telescoped another. There may have been others, but I don't remember but one car telescoping. By that, you know what I mean.
Yeah, a couple of them.
It just ran right through another car. Probably several cars had done that. But I remember one where the people on the car, they were all locked in, couldn't get out. And they were moaning and asking for help, and all that, and you couldn't help them. Christ, I was a little kid, but I would have done anything, and so would anybody to have helped them. But you didn't know what to do. They had people standing there, as I remember after a while, who were more or less officially knowledgeable, like firemen and things of that sort. I don't remember any tragic fires that transpired at all, but I do remember things that happened. Otherwise, the engineer, I remember the engine was turned over on the side, and I might add, I found a wheel of the engine as a kid, wandering around.
Oh, really?
I found a wheel about, I'd say it was 100 yards in a cornfield on the Charlotte Pike side, so to speak. I don't know. I think I was so upset, as I'm sure most children would have been, when I saw this thing, that not only sort of nauseated you a little bit, but it also shocked you a lot.
Oh, it horrified you for years
it
to
did,
come.
yeah.
didn't it?
And I still remember it with the night. I couldn't sleep for nights, but I imagine that was a mild thing compared to the people what they suffered. But anyhow, I just made these notes about it. I think maybe my father, maybe a little premature in taking a kid up there, but so there was the car that was telescoped. I remember particularly being a painful, tragic thing, and the engine, as I say, was turned over on the side, and they wouldn't let us get too close to that for some reason.
It was about to blow up.
Well, I think they felt the hot water and everything, and the engineer, I think he was, my recollection, now this part I'd have to say is hazy, but I think the engineer was alive for a good while.
He was still breathing. The paper said the next day.
I think that's right. And they were trying to do what they could for him, but they didn't know what to do.
A boiler was laying across his stomach, but he was still breathing.
Is that right?
Yeah. Kennedy.
I'll tell you
Kennedy.
another thing. I remember his family.
Really?
Now that's something I remember, but I'd rather not say that I remember him clearly. I don't. I remember seeing it, and it was a tearful sight to a kid to see it,
His family was there.
So I think my recollection is there were one or two members of his family, but I do not know who they would have been. The wife, I don't know, but somebody was there from his family, and I remember they sort of cordoned it off as far as I was concerned. They didn't want children or anybody around it. May have been they were afraid of an explosion, I don't know. May have been they were afraid that we'd get in the way, and that's probably what they thought. And we probably would have, without meaning to. But I think maybe Mr. Stallman was the fellow who took us down there. At that time, his family owned the Nashville Banner,
Yeah.
and they were friends of the family. And I'll answer anything you ask me about it, but
Yes, that's a wealth of information. That's more information than we've got from anybody we've talked to yet.
really, well,
Really.
I hope this is as accurate as I believe it to be.
It's great.
I'm pretty sure it is reasonably accurate.
Did we have enough tape to get all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, that's good. That's just wonderful.
Great. You got it on tape. Just simply go down a ravine.
Well,
to
the
get to it.
incoming train had already gone over under the viaduct. hadn't it?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
It got to be right.
Weren't some of the cars from the Memphis train still under the viaduct?
I think some of them were still standing.
Yeah.
And that's my recollection.
Well, that's
I think that's right.
that's the conclusion I've drawn just from sketches of what.
Well, I believe that is right. There probably are some pictures about it if you could get the old papers of that.
I've got those, but those pictures were taken from the viaduct, so it's hard to tell.
I see. Yeah.
Or from up.
Well, I don't know of many people now, but I'm sure that I can think of a few that might have a much better memory than I do because I was young. But children have a better way of their impressions are pretty strong like that, and I guess that's understandable.
Yeah, right.
But what we did have was a lot of old dead wagons that I remember. I imagine they were horse-drawn dead wagons, and they had those things all over the place, loaded with bodies, taking them out of there.
Taking the bodies out.
Taking the bodies out of the place, and they called them, if I'm not mistaken, they called them dead wagons, because I never had seen one. There was a ghostly, ghastly-looking damn thing. Looked like an enlarged casket, sort of, as I remember it, maybe. And they put these bodies in there and roll on with the horses, don't you see?
And I guess they were
Now, I've never seen that before or since in my life, except in pictures.
Wow.
You look at some of these old westerns, you'll see them every now and then. And I don't know what happened to those dead wagons, but they say they had been here. I heard at the time that they had been here for years.
Probably not in use.
And they had, no, not in use. You see, when ambulances, I suppose this was 1918, and ambulances went just everywhere, but we had them, and we had, I'd want a horse-drawn vehicle to take care of an emergency situation.
Well, most of they were taking most of the victims to Vanderbilt Hospital, which I understand at that time was somewhere around 4th or 5th downtown.
I can't answer that. I don't know.
It was a different location.
Yeah, but I expect that's right, but I'm not sure where it was then. I've kept up with Vanderbilt since, and I can tell you much more about it.
I'm sure.
But anyway, these dead wagons pulling these things out, and plus I remember the arms and legs and bodies and things. It was something to never forget. Plus the fact that there was so many people I didn't realize, and I still don't know whether I was taken in or not, but I don't think so. I think I think people would tell this was too serious for even a bum to kid. But these people would ask for, "Could I have a drink?" And come over, son, and give me a drink. They were hurt.
Yeah.
Now some were hurt in varying degrees, and as you say, 120 odd died. I'd forgotten how many there were, but I expect there were some others injured that didn't die. Quite a few.
Yep. Well, the Tennessean the next day said 121. Some people thought that was the L&N figure, which was low. One of the ladies that was on the train said 116.
Well,
so it's hard to say.
You probably could get it if you went on to unlimited trouble, but it would probably be hard and it wouldn't prove much. I had read once, many years ago in the Reader's Digest, that the Reader's Digest wrote this up. And this may be of some interest to you, but I couldn't tell you when it happened. It must have happened forever ago. But I remember they wrote a Swiss disaster. I think it was a Swiss train. And there were two foreign accidents that were in the same general category as this one, in the horrible effect and result. I could probably locate. Well, you could probably get in touch with the Reader's Digest.
Well, the World Almanac lists 120. There's a French train disaster that's said to be the worst railroad disaster ever. And
I think maybe I said Swiss. It must have been French.
Like 500 and something people, I think.